silly now. You know, we spent all that money for what? The U.S. doesn't lose. Oh, well, I guess we did. Yeah, I guess this is the first. See, we lost again. Because, you know, like, you can't half ass that, man. But they weren't half-assing it. They did good because they gave Ukraine enough just to be um, dependent on them and to prolong the situation so they could actually buy more. So that's what the U.S. did strategically. That's what the U.S. did. They prolonged that to get the most money out, laundry, whatever they want to do with weapons, military arsenal, you know, because if you think about it, the surrounding countries is, I think, okay, so the U.S. can't really sell military equipment directly to Ukraine because of probably it would really piss Russia off. So what do? They sell to their neighbors. Okay, now I bet you in 5 years we have a problem in Belarus. We might have a problem in Poland. We might have a problem in Romania. We might have a problem in, I would say, the Czech Republic again. Um, because these are the countries that probably, and Bulgaria, Serbia, all these countries, especially the coastal countries right there with Croatia, you know, U.S. probably stockpiled so much warfare stuff in those surrounding countries. So, you know, although it didn't get to Ukraine, Ukraine can actually buy it from their neighbor. There's no wrong for them buying it from a rogue partner from that country. So that's what's probably going on. So legally they can't sell to Ukraine, but it's not like how how the U.S. how the drugs get into America. And America's border is probably the most advanced border in the world, and the drugs are still getting passed by that most advanced border in the world. So no matter what, those weapons from those countries are going to get smuggled into Ukraine no matter what. Or they can even be fired upon in that host country on behalf of Ukraine. But I don't think that will ever happen. Um, but because no one in this region wants to cross Russia. Everyone wants to be neutral with Russia because Russia has the. What does Russia have? Well, Russia has this land. Russia has the money. Russia has the currency. Russia has the only thing that Russia's military is spread too thin. I think they weren't ready for Ukraine to. Well, I guess Ukraine was the military might for Russia a long time ago. That's what it seems. Um, and the Russia had to, people forget why was the Soviet Union, why did it collapse? And what part did the U.S. have in that, of the collapse of the USSR back then? People forget about that. Like, oh, Ukraine was part of Russia, and that hasn't even been a generation ago. Like, as I can remember it, I can remember it in school. I don't know how old are you guys, but I can remember something happened and the teacher was saying something about that. It didn't really make any sense. I didn't really care. I just cared that, I wanted to probably play PE. I probably wanted, what was going on in my mind back then? I was probably worried about how I was going to pay for lunch because I didn't have lunch money. Um, uh, um, See, and that's pretty sad. Um, but yeah, anyhow, you know, what did okay, if you look at it, Ukraine. Why is Ukraine such a important thing? Well, Russia, the original thought that they gave Americans was, oh, because Putin needs those voting rights in those ethnic Russian areas in Ukraine. Well, I guess the next regime after Putin. So I think that Putin's going to have someone in his place once he leaves because he knows he's getting age. Not saying that he looks like Biden or anything like that, but you never know. Never know what's going beyond the scenes. Before there was always some kind of cancer scare or something like that with him. You never know what's going on. And plus, you're at that age where things could go for the worse, and everyone will be like, "All right, cool. Well, you did this. You were somewhat of a decent human being. You did incredible things for the world, although maybe a lot of people didn't agree. You weren't like 100%, but hey, thank you for your service. You was a good man. You know, he was loved by many other leaders, like the Chinese president. So, basically, Putin still has maybe a good, probably 10 years of health looks like to go before he hands that over. Maybe 5 years, because this Putin's been there for a long time, man. Even like a lot of these leaders, they made fun of Trump going again in 2028. But what's the difference? It's kind of sucks if you think about it. When a person is only 4 years, it takes a long time for some things to change, and 4 years is too short for term limits in the U.S. And even 8 years is too short. It should be at least 16 years. A person should be the leader of their country. At least 16 years, so they could get used to it, so they could figure out the ends and quirks of it. I don't think we give politicians enough time for them to do everything. Because I know some politicians just want to fill their pockets and their friends' pockets of interest. Um, the people around, or some politicians are really the real deal. I think our only maybe real deal was probably the senior Bush. I don't think he had any. Well, the people around him probably did, but I don't think he had any self interest compared to the other presidents. And maybe Jimmy Carter too probably didn't have no self interest too compared to the other presidents. But and that's why Jimmy Carter didn't stay, because if you're in an opposition like that, you're not gonna you're not gonna be loved. You're just gonna have a whole bunch of enemies. You're gonna blacklist yourself, kind of like how LeBron is and Kareem Abdul-Jabbar in basketball. Kareem Abdul-Jabbar, he stuck around in basketball too long. He I don't know, and then he was so good and so dominant. Um, you know, when you have a person like that, and if their system works, anything, um, and if you have that person above them who is making a lot of money, that means that person is invincible, because that person who's making them a lot of money, and that was the owner of the Lakers, gave Kareem anything he want. He gave him magic. He gave him magic. He gave him the best player in college sports, like in decades, other than probably Michael Jordan and James Worthy. In those probably was one of the best college acquisitions that, and then the Lakers got him. Is that's amazing? Like how that Lakers owner, um, made the Lakers, and if you watch the Lakers, story on Netflix, the Lakers were like a nothing franchise. It had no history. He made it overnight. That's pretty good. Like, you kind of think it has proximity to do with LA too, because you can lure people in from to LA. LA is a good place because it helps your Hollywood career. You can network faster because everything's in LA. Like every industry is in LA. Every culture is in LA. That's why it makes LA so great. Like LA is so diverse. You can't like there's like and that's because the airport is so big. The airport could land any jet in the world because it's so big. And they have those big jets that could land at Los Angeles. If you're a big ass jet, like you're landing at Los Angeles in America. No other airport can have that capacity. That's why you go to LA, you see people, and that's like the main hub for the West Coast too, is Los Angeles. And that's the first place if you land internationally. If you're going to the West Coast, you're probably landing in Los Angeles. Other than, yeah, I don't think you're landing in any other airport but Los Angeles if you're going anywhere in the West Coast. Um, so, but yeah, Los Angeles is a big one. It's not, um, but I'm saying that is, Ukraine is in very, very big trouble. They, now Trump's in president. Trump doesn't like war, man. Trump is like, let's do business instead. It's like it's better for look how much Ukraine gained. All right, they gained probably militarily weapons that they didn't have before from other countries. They probably advanced in their military, but what's the use of that? All right, cool. You want an advance in military? Hopefully that would increase your infrastructure. All right. Now you're gonna have global missions and maybe advance in science a little bit more now than you were before. But other than that, Ukraine was the biggest loser in this war, and I hope to see people from around the world to learn the big lesson that conventional warfare has to stop. There's other types of warfare that they could have fought. They could have fought like, they could have fought this politically, like, or just easy. Let's just do an assassination style. Fuck it, you know. You know, we should just do it like that, just to get it over with. It's clean and it's one shot, boom. Hey, someone dies, someone dies. People die every day. Like you could easily replace that political leader, but you can't replace that whole country. So, uh, you know, it sucks, but hey, people don't agree with that. But assassinations is like, to me, if why the U.S. just didn't have plans just to give money to, you know, a rogue group to take out Saddam. That would have been cheaper, but they don't look at it that way. You know, what's a rogue group for Ukraine? I don't know. I'm not from that area, so why are we even worrying about this? International relations. You're right. Who cares? All right, bon appetit.